Ooh, welcome to the Ringer NFL show. I'm your host, Sheil Kapadia. Today, we are trying to identify who is going to take over for the Chiefs in the AFC. The Chiefs have been the AFC Super Bowl representative in 5 of the last 6 seasons. And while something wild still could happen, it looks like they're not going to make the playoffs. So which team is best positioned to pounce on this opportunity? I mean, a postseason where we potentially have AFC playoffs without Mahomes, without Joe Burrow, without Lamar Jackson. Which team can step in there and get to the Super Bowl and give themselves a chance at a Lombardi? To talk about that, we've got my friend from The Athletic, Mike Sando. We each chose a favorite, a runner-up, and a sleeper. Let's take a break and come back and talk to Mike Sando. This episode of the Ringer NFL show is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like expecting the leadership of a team captain on the football field, but getting a C captain? Sure, they're both captains, but who is going to run your offense? You wouldn't settle for just anything for your team, so don't settle for just any insurance. When it comes to getting the help you need, State Farm is the real deal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. All right, welcome back to the Ringer NFL show. The great Mike Sando is here. We are looking for the Chiefs replacement. So, Mike, let's start with the favorite. Just if you had to make one pick right now, Chiefs aren't going to the Super Bowl in the AFC. Who is the team you would pick right now?
It might be New England. Does that surprise you?
A little bit. Yes, make the case.
So my case for New England is I think we looked at a lot of these teams and we can kind of see a flaw, or maybe their team is kind of peaked, right? And they're not quite what they should be. Whereas I feel like New England is still becoming what it's going to be, and already has the best record. I know the schedule's part of that. I get it, but they've won different ways. I think their quarterback looks really good. I think the head coach is super solid. The offensive coordinator is in the perfect role for him. They're pretty good defense, at least against the run. Do I think they're great when you dissect them on paper? No, but I kind of feel like they could be better in a month than they are now, and they already have the best record. So that's a little bit of my case for them. It's sort of by default. I think I'd let you pick anyone, and I'd take the field, and you'd do the same, I'm sure. But that might be a team to sort of watch for me.
Yeah, I have them as my runner-up. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're picking the Patriots. So they're my runner-up. Yeah, they're 11-2. It's interesting, some of the, statistics or whatever that take into account the schedule. Like, I like to look at this site, Inpredictable, that does like the betting markets, and it does strength of schedule. And they do the power ranking. So it just tells you like who would be favored on a neutral field right now. And they're 12th. In that one. I was like, man, 12. That's like, there's definitely not 11 teams I like better than the Patriots. So I look at those things, but I'm with you. I kind of believe in them. I look at them. I feel like they've passed every test. They've beaten the Bills. They've beaten the Bucs. They haven't tripped up on these bad teams, which I feel like you have to get credit for. It's like the Rams losing that game to the Panthers a couple weeks ago. Those types of games happen throughout the course of an NFL season. And I feel like they keep passing those tests. So I like the quarterback. I like the coaching. I feel like, they are definitely 1 or 2 for me. I've got them too, but I hear what you're saying there.
And they throttle the Giants. The Denver, it's every week's different, but Denver's scoring like 100 points in the fourth quarter to barely beat the Giants, and I just, I like them. I can make a case for someone else, but I kind of lean that way. And I'm anxious to see what they're going to be.
The defense does make me a little nervous. But you know what I was looking at, Mike? Like I was going, the defense is vulnerable. And then I was going, well, who are the great offenses that you have to face in the AFC playoffs? I don't know. It's like, all right, the Bills, yes. Other than that, it's such a weird year, which is why we're doing the exercise. There's no Mahomes. Yeah. Right now, there's no Lamar. There's no Burrow. You might be able to get by without having a great defense.
I think right now they are 8th in both offensive and defensive EPA per play, 8th in each. So it's not like they have I know schedule's part of it, but it's not like they have a bottom 5 defense and they're just holding on. That's fine.
Yeah. It's like great offense, mediocre defense oftentimes can get you to the Super Bowl. Yeah. So that might be their formula. How high are you? What's like you talk to people every week around the NFL, write the great column for The Athletic. What's sort of the buzz around Drake May? Because last week I presented the question, Ben Solak was on, and I said, how many quarterbacks would the Patriots just trade up? Like trade straight up for Drake May right now. And we were like, I think Mahomes, I think Josh Allen. And even those, it's not like 100%, but what's the stuff you hear on Drake May right now?
Well, a lot of people have changed their tune and think that he has shown some things in the NFL that they weren't sure he was showing in college. So I think he's earned a lot of fans. A lot of people liked him, but I didn't think anybody super loved him. And there were some people who just weren't sure. Good people that I talked to a lot. So I think he is one, really in this, probably the middle of this season on, he's kind of become the upper tier guy. So I think he's going to make a huge jump in the quarterback tiers. I don't know if he's going to get any tier 1 votes, but he might. I mean, I think there's going to be some people that really bet on him. So I think, he's won people over and really proven it this year.
You had a thing in your column today about comparing this Patriots team to the 2001 team, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. What's sort of the comp there, the case there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Mike Vrabel was a rookie 12-game starter on that team. Josh McDaniels was a young defensive assistant on his way. He's really, I think, was the coordinator maybe after Charlie Weiss, but he was in an early coach on that team. So they know the DNA. And then I think, Vrabel's a little bit of maybe a modern version of Belichick, who's, ball coach through and through, knows the game, the fundamentals. He's into the situational aspects of the game. But he also relates to players and has a personality, which is a real advantage. I think, especially now, I think it's less of a yes, sir, how do I jump league. And I think the personality that some of these guys show is important. And I think he's got it. And he has the it factor, right? If there's an it factor for coaches or quarterbacks, this guy totally has it. So I think then you throw in the young quarterback who, obviously Brady was behind Drew Bledsoe, so he didn't start right away. But Drake May right now is probably more impressive than Brady was before he got to the playoffs in the Super Bowl that year, right? If we just put the blinders on and didn't know what happened to Tom Brady, I mean, this May looks pretty darn good. So, and it's New England. So those are just a few of the things that I thought, made me think of that. It feels like something special is kind of happening there.
Yeah, that's not recency bias. I mean, May could win the MVP this year. I think it would be my pick right now if I had to pick one. So, all these teams, it's so interesting because it's like, all right, if you're a Patriots fan, you're going, we got Drake May, we got Vrabel, hopefully let's see if we can win it this year. But if we don't, we're going to have other opportunities. But we know, you can feel good about that, but it doesn't always work out that way. You got to have certain luck and different aspects. And so that's why the AFC being wide open is so interesting this year, which brings me to my pick, Mike, for my favorite. And I'm just a normie, I'm just going with the Bills. I'm just going to say they've got the best player. They've got the best quarterback in Josh Allen. They're not the most complete team. It's interesting. This isn't like the best version of the Bills we've seen by any stretch, but this still might be their best opportunity, even if they're not the 1 seed or even if they don't win their division, just because of the path they might have to go through to get there.
Yeah, they're my next team. They would be my second team on this list. And for those reasons you talked about, I think on any given day, Josh Allen is, can go win the game. As I wrote though today, they're so reliant on him that they no longer have really the defense that can just go win a game for them. And we see that in, their record the last 2 years when the offense was below average by EPA is 1-7, including 0-4 this year. Big change from basically being 500 right around there before that. They're also not winning on the road. Their 500 team on the road used to be, I think, 23-9 over a 4-year stretch on the road. So they definitely aren't the same, and you acknowledge that. And so that is what just held me back from putting them. I feel like they're holding on and maybe not getting better. And they've already lost to New England and may lose to them again. They play this week. So maybe that game changes my mind if Buffalo comes out and really handles them. But I kind of think New England might win that coming off the bye.
I love the point there, backed up by your numbers, because that's what it feels like. It feels like they have basically one way to win, It's, now they can win with the run game for sure, but against good teams, if you're just talking about, hey, they've got to win for a month here, it is going to have to be Josh Allen being Superman. I mean, maybe you get the defense creating some turnovers one game, but the other thing, Mike, about their defense is like in the past, they've had good defenses in the regular season and then they get lit up. A lot of these games in the playoffs where they lose, a few of them, most of them have been Josh Allen plays well, the offense plays well, and the defense can't give them anything, can't get a stop. It's, like a 10th percentile game. So that doesn't make you feel great that this year they're not even good in the regular season. How would they turn it on, that defense in the playoffs?
If I had more time last night, I was going to look up, when's the last time a quarterback had Joe Burrow's overall numbers were amazing with those disaster plays? Like you put in the disaster plays, those had to be like huge swing plays that would normally wreck your stat line if you're a quarterback. And like his stats were still good. And so I'm with you. That's just what worries me about him. Any 1 week, but over a course of weeks, I think it'd be harder.
It's how they're bad also. They're 28th in explosive play rate allowed. They're 27th in success rate against the run. Like that type of profile makes me very nervous. And I know they've had some injuries, but it's not like, they're going to get X, Y, and Z back and their defense is going to be playing well. I mean, their defense has been playing like this for most of the season. But even with that, like I am very excited. I was thinking about this as I prepped for this exercise. I'm like, one of the most exciting ways that this season could play out is that Josh Allen over the next 8 weeks just reaches this level where we're like, man, we've seen it before, but he's the best player in the NFL. He's the best quarterback in the NFL. He's putting the cape on. He's putting the whole team on his back. And he stands there and hoists the Lombardi trophy where we're all going, man, that wasn't even his best team. He's had better teams, but because he's going to be asked to elevate to that level. And we all know it's possible that he does it. So that's like one of the fun ways this season could play out.
It'd be so funny too, because I think through his actions, Sean McDermott has tried to have a different type of a team. He's tried to be running the ball more. He doesn't want to live and die slinging it around, but that might be his only way to do it, partly because his defense, which he is leading, is not what it was. So that would be amazing if he were to do that. And Josh Allen could. He's probably the one guy in the AFC who can do that right now.
I wonder if, does he look at it and go, man, I've had so many chances and I might not have to play Mahomes or Lamar or Burrow. Like, I mean, it already feels like every postseason, they're one of those teams like the Ravens where they've just got that pressure on them where it's like, is this finally going to be the year? Or are we going to go into the long off season and then have to climb that mountain again where he's got to be looking at that going, man, I know these are good teams and I know we don't have a great team, but like we really have a chance here to win this thing. So the Bills, the pressure, I can't even imagine the Bills fans if they bow out this year against one of these other teams. That is going to be hard to swallow. I
think the pressure goes up if they finish really strong. Like if they were to run the table and be 13
and everyone's picking them. Yeah,
like they're 9-4 now, so their season's been couched a little bit by some of the losses, or so if they were to finish like 11-5, and then win one playoff game and lose out, it almost feels like, that's kind of what they were. But if they raise the bar by a strong finish and then have the letdown, I think it hurts more.
Oh no, Bills fans! We'll put in the notes. Fast forward through that part. You don't, picture that skip 15 seconds forward there on Sando, what he is envisioning as your nightmare potentially for the Buffalo Bills. All right, let's take a break. I want to come back and talk about the sleepers because there are a lot of other teams in the mix here. Which of them might have the best chance? This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. The holidays move quickly like a blitz to save the game. That's where Prime comes in with fast, free delivery. My kids put together these presentations for what they want for Christmas, and they put the Amazon Prime link right in there. I just have to click. They know I'm not paying for shipping. I'm going to that Prime link, can order it. It shows up at the door. It's in a box, so it doesn't give anything away. I sneak it upstairs, and there you go. They will see it on Christmas morning. Prime's fast shipping is always there for you during the holidays, especially when it's last minute and just can't wait. Need some holiday magic? It's on Prime. Head to Amazon.com/Prime to shop now. All right, we are back here on the Ringer NFL show. So just odds-wise, Mike, we picked, the two teams that are up there. Bills are plus 370 to get to the Super Bowl. The Patriots are plus 390. I don't know if you've looked at these odds or not, but there is another team that has the exact same odds as the New England Patriots in the AFC.
Well, it might be Denver, but I'm picking Houston.
Okay, it is Denver, but make the case for Houston.
Yeah, so to me, Houston's defense is the best in the league, and certainly the best without having to do a bunch of risky things, imperiling your back end of your defense by blitzing all the time. They're historically, I think, of the last 160 defenses, going back whatever that would be, 5 years. They're in the top 5 for third down defense when they don't pressure, when they don't bring 5 or more rushers. You can just see what they're doing there. Now, I don't have as much optimism on the offensive side. I think we see flashes. It is the first year of the coordinator. I do think their offensive line's a little bit better than it's been, but that's why they're not a higher pick for me. I think if I could trust their offense a little bit more, they may be my pick. But they still have to get through Jacksonville, and I think that's a team that we're probably overlooking a little bit. But the reason I have them over Denver is I just feel like Denver's number one. Denver's defense I don't think is quite as good, and then I probably shouldn't hold it against them that I think they won 12. Or they trailed in their first 12 games and won 10 of them, something like that. I just feel like it's been not smoke and mirrors, but just a little tenuous to me. So maybe I'm pushing back too hard on that. But I feel like they're the type of team that's going to have this great record and then maybe, lose their first game.
Yeah, I've been wrong about a lot this year. And I certainly, I was like, everyone settle down about this Broncos team before the season. During the season, I was like, they're not going to dethrone the Chiefs. The offense is going to look the same as it did last year. And here they are 11-2. To your point, the stuff, you and I might like to look at suggests that they don't necessarily fit the profile of a Super Bowl team. I mean, they have a plus 73 point differential and are 11-2. The Chiefs have a plus 63 point differential and are 6-7. The Broncos are 8-2 in one-score games. They have the most one-score wins of any team in the NFL. And we don't need to, even if you don't count last week, that sort of fluky one against the Raiders, which wasn't necessarily a one-score win. So you look at all those things, but they have won 10 in a row. They've beaten the Eagles. They've beaten the Cowboys. They've beaten the Texans. They've beaten the Chiefs. And what I like here, Mike, is that I feel like we'll find out in the next month how real this is, because they've got the third hardest remaining schedule here with the Packers, the Jaguars, at the Chiefs, and the Chargers. So I was thinking this. What do you think of this comp? And I've brought this up before.
Yeah.
Is there something they are some version of last year's Eagles? And I know it's not perfect, but let's say very good defense. I think even if you don't love them, I think you would say top 5 defense.
Oh, yeah.
The offense is maybe hit or miss, but the quarterback's not going to make mistakes. He's not going to turn the football over, put you in negative situations. I think most weeks they're going to have an edge up front on both sides of the ball. So they don't have Saquon Barkley. They don't have the other talent that Eagles team had on offense. But I'm looking at it going, in a weird year, I'm not going to push back too hard on some of these things because I'm nervous. I'm a little gun shy here, Mike.
I like that. I like that comp. It's a good comp. It's better than, I don't think anyone else fits that comp as well as them. And Bo Nix is less established. I think Jalen Hurts has had some bigger moments, obviously on bigger stages. And so you probably, felt a little better last year about what Philly is. They're just more established, right? And they're a higher profile team. We've seen them more. So I think I am underrating Denver some. I think I am. I think I can admit that, but I'm doing it. So, I'm going to have to live and die with that. And maybe they, their strength of victory and some of these other things isn't as good. Houston's, won more of the better, beaten better teams, I guess, if you go by record. I think they have more quality wins is what I call it. A win against a team that currently has a winning record. Those are harder wins to have because when you beat a team, their record gets worse. So I give, Houston's up there. Jacksonville's up there in that too.
closing on Denver. I think the 1 seed might be more important to them than any other team. I think if they can get the bye and you got to win 2 games at home, then I can envision that more than, hey, they got to win 3 games and this passing game's going to be in situations where they have to come through. Are they going to come through? Maybe they will. We see weird things happen in the playoffs. The team you are in January, it's going to be a small sample. Sometimes you are able to look different than you are in the regular season. But I also picked the Texans as my sleeper. And it really is all about the defense. They just have this list of quarterbacks that they've picked off over the years with DeMeco Ryans and with this defensive personnel where I just find them so trustworthy. I was looking at this. I don't know if you ever do this, where I try to say how many just below average games has a unit had. And I looked at that for the Texans. They've had 1 all season by EPA per drive, where they didn't at least reach, the 50th percentile in defense in terms of EPA per drive. And that was week 2 against the Bucs. And they've played some good offenses and some good quarterbacks. So it's not like I think they've had the second hardest schedule in the NFL. So I look at that and I go, man, I do that. That really can get them far in January. And then what do we need from this offense? Like if I said, hey, what's a realistic thing where this offense plays at this level and it actually is good enough to get to the Super Bowl? Is it just kind of like CJ Stroud makes enough plays on 3rd down? Because I think overall, we know it's not a great offense. We know it's probably not going to be a great offense, but I'm trying to figure out what they actually need from that offense with how good this defense is playing.
I know. And what is their identity on offense? I think they need. You start with they need to not be blowing the games. I mean, when you look at their 4 losses, the offense was completely atrocious. They have 5 losses, but they're 4 losing to the Rams, Jaguars, Denver, and Seattle. No, those are really good defenses. But I think it's maybe being able to tread water against a really good defense, not win the game, but not have the disaster games, right? Because if you're looking at their offensive EPA, it's minus 24 against Seattle. Okay, you're not winning that game. It's minus 15 against Denver. You're not going to win that game. It's minus 15. Against Jacksonville. Minus almost 11 against the Rams. Those are never win games, just about. You're going to hardly ever win them. So I guess that would be it, is really not lose it.
Yeah. It's, in a way, it feels like, DeMeco Ryans doesn't seem like he minds playing that way. Hey, keep us in the game. We might need some 3rd down magic from Stroud, which he had against the Chiefs. I mean, a few of those plays were incredible that he made with Chris Jones chasing him down, hunt some explosives. With Nico Collins, we don't need to be a great down-to-down type team, but we're going to need a couple explosive plays in the passing game. And then can that be enough for us to win a game? Can that be enough for us to steal a game in the 4th quarter? So, I've definitely got my eyes on that Texans team. I don't know that they have enough offensively, but they might. And then the last team, Mike, I think, unless you have someone else, you mentioned the Jaguars. They are plus 710, so not far behind the Texans in terms of the odds here. They're 9-4. They're currently the 3 seed. This is another team where all season I've been going, no, this team does too many dumb things. I don't trust them. I don't trust this offense. Should we have them more in the mix with teams like the Texans?
Yeah, I think we have them appropriately in the mix that we're talking about them. I think it would be inappropriate to not talk about them. But I think it's totally fine to pick the other teams that we picked. Their defenses seem super turnover reliant. Bears are like that too. And so that can come and go. I do think Trevor Lawrence had a really good game last week or yesterday. But do I think that Trevor Lawrence has turned a corner and is now something that he has not been? I'm not willing to say that at all. I think that he's still going to be an inconsistent accuracy player. There's a lot of people getting excited. Jag fans, I've seen some of this, but I think one of the things I tweeted today was like, somebody said something like, they have 3 winning records in the last 4 years, with Trevor Lawrence. And I'm like, well, yeah, they were really good on defense those years. They were 23rd on offense 2 of those 3 years, maybe, so they've had 1 top 10 offense. And I just don't, this isn't one now, they're 23rd. So I don't see the consistency on offense, which is the same thing with Houston. I'd probably rather have the Jaguars offense than Houston almost, would you?
Yeah, but I would definitely rather have I think there's a bigger gap between the Texans defense and the Jaguars defense.
Yeah, and so that's why I lean with Houston. I think it's totally reasonable to do so.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I'm thinking about that. Yeah, the gap between Houston's offense and Jaguars offense, I would have to think about that, whether I would definitely want Jackson. I think I would want Jacksonville's over them. I think they're capable of more, but yeah, it's not that wide, I don't think.
But like for the next 3 years, I'd probably go with Houston.
I agree with
offense. That. Would you agree with that? I'd rather have Stroud probably.
Yeah. So, you're right. Trevor Lawrence, he's one of those guys, and I've talked about it before. You tune in in the right quarter, on the right possession, on the right night, and you go, man, I see it. This guy's got it. And then you tune in on the wrong quarter, the wrong possession, and you go, why would anyone want to give this guy franchise quarterback money? And so you have to take it on the whole. You really have to almost zoom out and say, I'm not going to be that influenced by the last week. I do think he's playing better football right now, but on the season, to your point, 25th in EPA per play, 17th in success rate. He's up there in turnover worthy play percentage. He's down there on adjusted completion percentage. So there's been a lot this season. He is a roller coaster ride. And the idea of the Jaguars putting together 3 straight games in the AFC playoffs where they just play mistake-free football, I personally cannot get there with them. Maybe it'll be a weird season, but that's why I have them a little bit lower than these other teams.
And I know we don't, we're talking EPA and all this stuff, but it's hard to have an 83.3 passer rating in the NFL now and be a $250 million quarterback. Isn't that hard?
Yeah.
That's Trevor Lawrence. I mean, he's with Geno Smith.
Yeah. So it's
I just don't like that's just an old school way of looking at him. Like he has an 83 pass. It doesn't usually happen in the NFL, so.
Right. Yeah, no, listen, the numbers back it up. Again, you could put together a highlight reel where it looks great, and maybe he will go on a heater. Again, weird things happen this time of year, but I think you and I are on the same page, not predicting it. All right, those are the teams. I don't think we missed anyone. Mike, right? We didn't miss anyone obvious? We got to the obvious teams?
I think we got to the obvious teams, yep.
Okay. There you go. He is Mike Sando. You can check out all of his work in The Athletic. Listen, we had a lot to get to. So I said going in, we're not doing a hurry up today. If you want my thoughts on Eagles Chargers, you can head over to the Ringers Philly special for a breakdown. We'll break down that game over there. But thanks again to Mike Sando. Thank you to Christopher Sutton for producing, Kiera Givens on social, and additional production supervision by Conor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I'm Sheil Kapadia. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.